How many of you feel fulfilled by where you're currently working? Okay, quite a few of you. Okay. Well, for the rest of us, we've probably been told that we shouldn't waste our lives doing something that doesn't make us happy. We need to be doing something that makes us that we're passionate about, something that makes us jump out of bed in the morning. And it's true, our lives are short, and the majority of our lives are spent working. Actually, arguably, the best parts of our lives are spent working. So the only outcome of our work shouldn't just be a paycheck and full dental benefits. It should be a lot more than that. But what is it that we actually value or find most important by our companies? Well, some research done by Gallup found that across all three generations, baby boomers, Gen Xers, and millennials, three things stood out at top. And that is the quality of management, the quality of the manager, and the opportunity to learn and grow. But it seems like a lot of the companies aren't fulfilling these values of their employees, and that's potentially why we hear about job hopping being on the rise. It's no longer the case that people are working at a company 10, 15, 20 plus years until they retire and get that golden watch. Now it's lucky if we get employees staying for 5 years. And actually, CareerBuilder did a survey and found that 45% of the people they talked to only plan on staying with their company for less than 2 years. So what are companies left to do about this? How do they try and keep their talent staying working for them? Well, we've probably heard or seen or even worked for companies like this where they promote a fun work environment, where they've got ping pong tables and arcade rooms or cafes where you can make your own lattes or even slides that take you from one level to the next. That's all great and everything, but according to the research, a fun work environment was actually one of the least important things to people. And interestingly enough, it was the baby boomer generation that found it slightly more important than the other two generations. Go figure. One of the other things that companies do is this idea of hack days, or 20% time, where once a month or once a quarter, employees are allowed to let their creativity out and work on something outside of the normal work. But these projects typically have to somehow relate back to the company. Well, I want to take that idea and expand on it and say, why can't I work on anything that I want to? And potentially even work for a different company. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. I got to a point in my career where I was becoming unmotivated, unproductive, and actually slowing down the team around me. Work just felt like work. But don't get me wrong, it's not that I hated my job. It's just part of me wanted to do something more, something different. I've always had this desire to protect the environment in any way that I could. So that's where I found a local nonprofit whose mission was to get the public more engaged with their local rivers, lakes, and streams by going out and making observations or reporting issues. So I started working with them, but because I still had a full-time job, I was only able to dedicate nights and weekends to this nonprofit. As you can imagine, doing this for a while didn't lead to a good work-life balance. So I figured I only have one option. I need to quit my full-time job and work with the nonprofit and follow my passion. So I mustered up the courage to talk to my manager, who also happens to be the CEO of the company, and told him how I was feeling, I was being disengaged, and it would be best for me to move on. But then something unexpected happened. Rather than him just letting me go and wishing me best of luck, he actually wanted to listen to me and figure out why I was feeling this way. And then he proposed an idea. How about I stay with the company 4 days a week, and 1 day a week, I was able to dedicate to the nonprofit. And let me tell you, that completely changed everything. I finally became happy again, productive. Some coworkers even said, "Yay, the old Mark is back." And that's because that desire that I had was being fulfilled by the nonprofit and allowed me to focus on my work in a different kind of way. And this isn't the first time I actually did this at our company. A few years back, there was a coworker who wanted to take his passions of software development and video production and combine them together to make high-quality websites and videos for startups and small businesses. But he didn't know the first thing about starting up a company. He's never done it before. So he did the same thing. Stayed with our company 4 days a week, and 1 day a week, he was allowed to focus on getting his company up and going. And over the course of a year and a half, he was able to find clients, raise some money, hire a team around him, and transition to that full time. And we've actually been able to use his services in our own marketing needs. So as we look at driving change over the next 150 years, I believe that if companies, and in particular managers, listen to the passions and the desires of their employees and gift them that one day a week to either learn a new skill or craft, work on a side project or side business, volunteer for a nonprofit or charity, or even just spending more time with family, that if we do this, it would lead to less job hopping, more productive and engaged teams, and most importantly, a more fulfilled and happy society. So I want to leave you with one last question, and that is, if you had one day dedicated to you, what would you do with it? Thank you.